The Vice President of Uganda, the Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament, His Lordship the Chief Justice, the Right Honorable Speaker of Iyala, the Right Honorable Speaker of the Parliament of Rwanda, the Right Honorable Speaker of the Parliament of Somalia, the Right Honorable Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Leader of the Opposition, Honorable Ministers, Honorable Members of Parliament, Honorable Members of the Iyala, members of the Diplomatic Corps, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Madam Speaker, in fulfillment of the constitutional requirement under Article 101, Clause 1 of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, I am here to deliver the State of the Nation Address 2015, mainly to give accountability on particular government commitments and to appraise you of the plans and strategies for the next 12 months. Madam Speaker and honorable members of Parliament, on the 11th of June 2015, the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development will present to this august House and the entire nation the budget for financial year 2015-2016. He will also detail what has been achieved and what we intend to achieve in the coming financial year. On this occasion, I will begin with the saying, which is in the Church of Uganda's prayer book, but which is also in the Bible. In Uganda, it says, baleka bibasande okukola ne bakola bibatasande okukola n'amazima tegali mu bo. Translated, it says they left undone what they ought to have done and did that they ought not to have done, and there is no truth in them. Very dangerous quotation, this one. This is in the Church of Uganda prayer book on page 10, and also in the book of Matthew, chapter 23, verse 23. It says in full in the Bible, "Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you pay tithe of mint and anise and cumin, and have neglected the weightier matters of the law, justice, mercy, and faith. These you ought to have done without leaving the others undone." Then verse 24 says, "Blind guides, who strain out a gnat and swallow a camel." All this means that you concentrate on peripheral issues but neglect the much more fundamental issues. This is the greatest challenge leaders over the ages face, to distinguish the core issues from the peripheral ones, or even to prioritize among priorities. This is the problem of leadership. If you can't do that, You just stay in your house. Don't have to bother people that you want to be a leader when you cannot do this. In the last 50 years, the NRM and its precursors, those groups that came before it, such as USAF, University Students African Revolutionary Front, FRONASA, UPM, the Anti-Vietnam War Solidarity Committee, PRA, Popular Resistance Army, NRA, ETC have been fighting against this disorientation. We succeeded in all those phases because we were able to handle this issue of what comes first and what comes next. Where we successfully resist such disorientation of trying to be everywhere and you end up being nowhere, we make good progress. Since 2006, we started resisting the mistakes of spending on consumption before we spend on development and wealth creation. By doing so, just relying on Uganda government money, even if you put aside projects supported by outsiders, the following have been achieved by you people, agreeing with my views of doing certain things first and then others later. Just in these years, from 2006, number one, we have added 1,627 kilometers of electricity transmission lines added to 1,427 kilometers of transmission we had before 2006. You can go with your foot ruler and you measure the new electricity lines. Since 2006, just by having that wisdom of saying, no, I cannot do everything at the same time, but let me start with electricity, because electricity is the most important. So you get your foot ruler and you go and you measure. If you survive and come back, number two, $338 million of the energy fund that we put down as our contribution to Karuma Hydropower Dam and to Simba Hydropower Station. The Chinese who are helping us to do the two dams, initially they had not got their money from their system. But we had ours ready, so we put it in, and the work started. They have now got the money from their bank, and they are going to add on theirs. But we had ours ready, and we put it in. Three, we have boosted the budget of the Ministry of Works from 374 billion shillings in 2006 to now 3,328 billion. This is the money of the Ministry of Works now. So when you see all those roads being worked on, it is because of the money we put in. By denying ourselves expenditure elsewhere and concentrating here. That's where our Baganda people say, gava mu kulya. Amaanyi gava mu kulya. When you put something, when you feed somebody, then he gains weight. By concentrating on the Ministry of Works, you can see the results. I'm really enjoying driving around Uganda now. The other day I came from Arua at about 7:30 there. And by 1 o'clock I was in Kampala here. And most of the way I was just driving comfortably, sleeping, except I was disturbed a bit between Nebi and Pakwach, where I am going to establish a judicial commission of inquiry. You will see here a judicial commission of inquiry. Find out who did that section of the road, because it has already gone bad, and it was just finished the other day. So the charm, the eating which has been going on there. I have now put a young lady there who is a no-nonsense person. And anybody who has eaten any of that money, you will have to regurgitate it. Now, the other section where I had to wake up is between Karuma and Kafu. Because they are not Kafu proper, just before Kafu. They have already done some part. But beyond Kigumba, that section they are still working on, and it disturbed my sleep. I had to, in the car. Otherwise, the road is smooth all the way. The road between Tororo and Mbari and Soroti had become a problem. When you would drive on that road, you would feel it was better to get out of the car and walk. But the other day I was there, I just really slept all the way. You know, when there are no potholes, I just sleep in the car. The other day we went to Kisoro for the function. What was it? We had a function there recently. Labor Day, and you saw how smooth it is. That is all because of the decision we took in 2006. By saying that, please, let's not spend money on consumption. Let's even prioritize among priorities. You are now seeing the benefits. Then we have been able to put shillings 170 billion in the Science Innovation Fund, as well as funding URI, Uganda Industrial Research Institute. This prioritization has completely changed the image of Uganda. On the side of electricity transmission, we have now connected or are in the process of connecting all the district towns except for Kabong, Nwoya, Buvuma, and Kotido. Out of the 112 district towns, only 4 are remaining. All the others are now connected or are being connected. If you were to go back to 1986 as the base year, 33 towns which constitute headquarters of the current 112 districts had no electricity. Big towns like Kabale had no electricity. Rukunjiri, don't speak of the Xoros, don't talk of Kitugum, all those had no electricity. The remaining district towns of Nwoya, will be connected in December 2016, while Buvuma will be connected in June 2017. This is on the side of electricity transmission. On the side of electricity generation, by the time Karuma and Isimba, as well as the main hydro stations of Kikagati, 16 megawatts, Mitano, 2.9 megawatts, Lubiria, 5.4 megawatts, Nyagak 3, 4.5 megawatts, CP, these people of mine who don't know Uganda, they are writing, they call it city. There's no city in Uganda. This is CP, 21.5 megawatts, Waki, 5.4 megawatts, Rimi, 10.5 megawatts, Ndugutu, is there Ndugutu? Let me hope it is there, but I have never heard of it. 0.5 megawatts. Nkusi, 4.8 megawatts. Nyamwamba, 9.2 megawatts. Nengo, 6.5 megawatts. Esia, 0.1 megawatt. Muzizi, 44.5 megawatts. Nshungezi, 38 megawatts. Ntono, 2.5 megawatts. Sindoro, 5.6 megawatts. Aswa, Agago, 88 megawatts. Something called Kakaka, 7.2 megawatts. Muvumbe, I don't know whether this is not a misspelling, 4.5 megawatts. Muyembe, 3.2 megawatts. Chambra, 8.3 megawatts. Maziba, 1.1 megawatt. Solar power, 20 megawatts, and additional electricity from Bagas at Kinyara, 25 megawatts. That are in the pipe, all these are in the pipeline. What I'm reading, these are all being worked on. All these are being worked on now as I'm speaking. That are in the pipeline of being constructed. Our generation capacity will be at 1,974 megawatts. Of course, this is very small, still very small. If you compare with the UK, they are generating 55,000 megawatts. But for me, I'm very happy to be near 2,000 megawatts because I know where I came from. The one who knows where he came from is a wise man. This is as compared to 1986, when the generation only stood at 60 megawatts. 1986, the generation capacity of Uganda was 60 megawatts, 60. In case you miswrite it. When our oil starts flowing in the year 2018, or if we can get funding that is not borrowing, we are going to build the additional electricity generation capacity of Ayago, 840 megawatts. That Ayago has got more electricity than all the Jinjas combined and Karuma all together. 840 megawatts there. Oryang, 392 megawatts. Uhuru, 350 megawatts. Kiba, 300 megawatts. And then there is a thermal using heavy fuel oil called Albatross, thermal plant, 50 megawatts, and Maction 4s, 700 megawatts. This will give Uganda a capacity of 4,356 megawatts. We have also agreed with the American company known as AAE Systems Incorporated to explore and develop another 300 megawatts of electricity from the geothermal potential of Uganda, Kitagata. When you hear these places called Kitagata, that means there is electricity underground, which is not being used in the Katwe area of the Renzo region. The only little mistakes in the electricity sector today are two. One is in connection with the Bujagari. Unlike the case of AES, those who have been here long remember the young man called Mr. Wright. He was called Wright, where they had agreed to develop Bujagari at US 4.9 cents. In the subsequent agreement with Bujagari Energy Limited, our people agreed to the electricity generation cost of US cents 10.1 on account of the expensive money the developers used and the high cost of construction materials at the time of the building the dam. This distorts the price of electricity. We are going to engage the developers to find ways of refinancing this project. With our oil money, this should be no problem. However, even before our oil money, we may be able to get cheaper money to pay off this expensive money borrowed by the developers. This mistake should never be repeated. For some reason, I was not consulted on this. I just came here of it when it was already finished. Because we had agreed with the AES, the area group at 4.9 cents. I don't know how our people came to agree to this high cost. They say it was because we had big shortage that time. Lubangatiye, so we shall. God is there, so this is not the end of the world. The cost of generation for Karuma, for instance, is going to be 5 US cents per unit. So that is in order. The one for Isimba is going to be United States cents, 4.8 per unit. That is how things should be. The price for electricity from the geothermal is going to be US 8 cents per unit. Those are the ones of the Kitagata, the Lake Katwe, geothermal. We have taken the decision that for manufacturing, the price of electricity should not exceed US 5 cents per unit. Other electricity users, such as those in the services sector, like the Transnight people, the people who dance the whole night, those who catch grasshoppers using electricity, or those who use electricity for mere lighting, can pay slightly higher prices. Factories need to pay low prices because manufacturing is very competitive globally, and yet it creates more jobs, adds value to our raw materials, and therefore earns more money for our country, consumes utilities, it creates employment, it widens the tax base, etc. Low-cost electricity, which is reliable, only competes with transport in facilitating industrialization. Factories in South Korea, China, and Ethiopia buy electricity at 7 cents per unit. The ones of South Korea, 7 cents. The ones of China, 8 cents per unit. And the ones of Ethiopia at 4.5 cents per unit respectively. Selling electricity at factories at 11 cents per unit is not serious. On the issue of the roads, as you all can see, and as you are aware from communication availed earlier, by using our own funds and some funds from outside, plans are either in execution or are in the pipeline for all the major roads. Even the Rwenkunyu, Masindi Port, Apache, Lirakitugum Road, that we still had not got money for, now we have got the Islamic Development Bank, which has accepted to fund the road upgrading works, and construction is expected to commence at the end of 2016. That was the only road for which I was still struggling to get money. This is the Rwenkunyu. Those who don't know our country, there is a place called Rwenkunyu. You know, when I'm talking to some of the MPs, they may not know some of these places. They are not like me who had to walk through some of these places on foot. There's a road supposed to go from Rwenkunyu to Masindi Port, to Apache, Lira, Puranga, up to Achoribur. It will not have to go to Kitgum because there's already a road now coming from Gulu, which will do that. This will now link us through that little town where I used to fight with Rakwen. Is it called Ogur? Ogur, the one north of Lira. What is it called? Ogur? There's an Ogur there. Ogur, south of Puranga. So that road also, we have got money for it. Now, the list of these roads to be upgraded from Mariam to Bitumen have been published before. They are here. They are attached to this speech as an appendix. Long list. Banang. The whole list is here. Vura, Oraba, Butera, Rontunga, Murwentovo. Those are already finished actually. Hoimaka Isotonya, Gula Atiak Nimule, Kampara Mukono Jinja, that one is being worked on again. Mtunga Mokabare Katuna, Kampara Entebbe Expressway, that one is being worked on. Moroto Nakapiripirit, Kafutiri Andongo, Luku Karangara, that one I have never been there. I don't know where it is. I've been to Karangara, but I don't know exactly where it is. Kamwenje Fort Potro, Mbarara Bypass, Mukono Katosikisoga. After the cham, now things are. Mpiji Kanon Sembavure, Vira Maria, Chiriandongo Kamdini, Gulu, Papachi Nebi, that one we will have to be worked on again. But we shall have to hang those who are involved in the first place. Ntunga Momerama Hills, Kampala Northern Bypass, they are now widening it. That Kampala Bypass. Masaka Bukakata, Chigumba Masindi, Bulima Kaboya, Oluyo Oguru Achoriburu, Kitugumu Musingo, Maria Sembabule, Muvende, Kibare, Kagadi, Ndeiga, Abanjoro, and Wotoyan, we can't Mikaguza. Mustama Yugelumino, Busia, Mukono Kayunganjeru. This is to be designed. This is a design and build project. Engineering design is ongoing. Then the other roads, Kaboya, Chenjojo, Tirini, Parisakumi, Kamonkori Road, Kapchorwa Swam. That one, I know they are doubting Thomases who did not believe that Jesus had been crucified. Like my daughter there, that one. But the road will be worked on. The money is there. We only had a delay because the ADB was trying to coordinate it with the road in Kenya, Kitale. You know, I have got to use my Akiri. When I couldn't get money, then I presented it as a regional road, which is a regional road. And since in ADB there was money for regional roads, because it is indeed a regional road. So is the road from Mbare to Magare, Bumbo, Wahaha. That road also, it will be tarmac through that window of the regional road. Even the road to Kanungu, Ishasha, will be tarmac under that window of the regional roads. Rukunjiri Chihi Ishasha, Chihi Kanungu Kambuga. When the road gets to Kambuga and to Kanungu, I promised my people in Yakshenyi. So I will look for some magazine how to solve that part. Mbade Buburu Raha, I have already talked about Ishaka, Katunguru, Fort Portal Chenjojo Road. It needs to be done again. That one is already tarmac road, but they need to repair it. Namusi Sironko Muyembe, Nansa Nabusunju, Mbari and Kokonjeru Road, that one which goes on the hill, the Idi Amin Road. Idi Amin used to like to go there. Chido Bridge in Nebi, Nyarit and Seretio bridges in Kapchorwa, Mariba and Ruboni bridges in Kasese, Leres Bridge. The other roads, Naman, the Industrial Park access roads, Jinja Kamuli, that one is completed. Mbale Soroti, completed. Overlay for Kisorochani, Kabunagana, and Mtorere, Nyamtanga Katete Road, completed. Then also, there are all those small roads going to the cathedral so that my bishop friends are happy. Ishkagate Road, that one is completed. Mvara Ediofe Cathedral Road. Setana Mgongo, that one we are working on. We were there yesterday. Charwajara, Naria, Charwajara, Iganga Kariro, that road has grown old. Lira, Akia, these are small roads within Lira town. Nakara Matiri, Mbare, Fort Potro Hima, Hima Katunguru, Sorot Arapai. No, I don't want my throat to dry because of these roads, because there are so many. And what is interesting is that many of these are funded by your government. The government of the Republic of Uganda. I'm also grateful to our partners from outside who have come in and taken some of the roads. Like, for instance, the Japanese are handling the Atiak, Bibia. The World Bank is handling Arua, Oraba. The European Union are handling the Buteranro, that is in Tungamo, up to Kabare. So the partners, the British group is handling Ntungamo Mramahiru. So the Wanyankore say, Omwana mkuru msigana ihamiriza. When you are oiling the body of a child who is already grown, when you put the oil there, then he rubs it in himself. You don't have to put the oil and then rub it in as if it is a baby. This is a child who is already old, who is you help him and he helps himself. On the side of scientific innovation, we have supported the banana project with Uganda shilling 78 billion. Yes, I know, because you don't ask. You see, you people, if you want to go to heaven, be humble. Blessed are the humble, for the kingdom of heaven is theirs. This project, I follow it more than you people. So if you have got any questions about it, instead of disturbing the other scientists who doesn't know how to answer your questions, you ask me because I am here. God has kept me here, so why are you? I'm glad you gave the money, because I was about to donate that project to other African countries. Because I had a contract, an understanding with the scientists. They wanted to give those, the foreigners wanted to take the patents. I am the one who stopped them. Now, when I bring them to you, you mistreat them in your committees, when you are in the chairs that you are parliamentary committee. You ask the scientists, what is the economics? The scientist is not an economist. That scientist is not an economist. She has already done her work of finding out the scientific formula. You do the rest. Why do you ask her? When the legs are hanging in the air. She has already done her part. You do the rest. If she doesn't know how to do project calculation, I don't know what, you do it. What are you for? For her, she has already found that this can be like this. The science is like this. You work on the economics. What are we for? So you are lucky, because I was going to donate that project to other African countries which are interested. But I'm glad, Right Honorable Speaker, that in the last parliament, you gave my project, the project money. Apoyo Rubanga, Apoyo Matek. Because I was going to donate that project to African countries, because there are African countries who will take it up. And the rude way you talk to people in those committees of yours, people talk of abuse of power. There must be abuse of power of parliamentary committees. Ah, you see the civil servants are clapping. You are now breaking the Constitution, because you are saying, be aware. Oh, when you do that, in Onyankwere, when I say you should be aware. That's a very serious case. Okwaira. That's a very serious offense. To threaten me. So please, these scientists, these are not economists. They are scientists. She has found a formula. It is scientifically proven. She has not given the patent to the outsiders who are eager to take it. If there are other issues to be done, we should all do them with them. The civil servants, the political leaders, we should all be involved. That's how I am involved. Because I know that by supporting them, our country will benefit. And also, you are unfair because you are not able to unbundle research, incubation, refinement of the incubation, and then operationalization. These are different activities. To do the research, to do the incubation, to do the refinement. So please, there are a number of informed people around. Always consult them. But I'm glad, because I was going to give that project. Actually, there were some governments which I was going to ring, say, you come and take this project. The powers in Uganda who are there today don't want it, you take it. Yes, so I'm glad you avoided that embarrassment. There is the Kira, the vehicle of Dr. Tokodri, our car. Up to now, we have given it 27.7 billion. The Yuri, yes, you go and find out. Because you like traveling, since you like traveling, you go to this man of the American man, these who make vehicles, Ford or whatever. Go and find out how much money they are spending to do the research and develop a formula for a car. Go and find out from them. Don't depend on Tikodri. You forget about Tikodri. You go, because many of you like traveling. Go to Ford and ask them how much they spend before they develop a car. Ask the South Korean, they are here. Ask them. Honda, the Japanese, ask them how much they spend. This 27 billion of yours is how much in dollars? 27 is how much? Like $10 million. Be serious, please. Stop joking. This world is not for joking. This is a serious world. Yuri, 14.24 billion. There are very many innovations or transferred technology by our scientists. The only limitation as yet are these funds. After we have dealt with the roads and electricity, we shall decisively support this effort. Our scientists can do anything. These scientists can do anything, by the way. There's nothing they cannot do. They just need funding, which will come in due course. Although we are tackling the priorities of the roads and electricity for now, we have at least made that modest start with this scientific innovation. The other cost pusher for producers and manufacturers is transport. Right from the time the British built the railway in 1902, no other effort has ever been made in that direction. Yet the cost of transport adds 25% to the cost of a good, while electricity at current prices adds 14%. The two account for 39% of the cost of a good. In countries like China, transporting a container of goods from Shanghai to Beijing is US $1,500. Here, transporting the same container of goods by road from Mombasa to Kampala costs $2,100. Therefore, in order to make our economy competitive, we have decided, together with Kenya, to build a modern standard gauge railway. Government of China agreed to help us. That will reduce the cost of transporting goods to US $1,650 per container. This is now container, not ton, per container. This is per container. I think my staff should add here what it costs now by road, so that we contrast. Another damage to the economy and the people would have been insecurity. However, the UPDF has ensured total peace in the whole country by defeating COI, defeating the ADF, and disarming the Karamojong warriors. There is now total peace in the whole length and breadth of Uganda. The only residual nuisance is ordinary crime such as murder, corruption, tax evasion, money laundering, etc. Apart from the normal police methods, we need to build modest infrastructure to cope with this problem. Such infrastructure would, for instance, include CCTV cameras in the major towns, starting with The these criminals, they are easy to get, but the police are now using all the methods. Ani amrabieko. Who has seen him? Now then you go all that way, looking for the one who saw him and the one who saw the other one. This is how the police are working now. However, of course, I am conscious of this. I delayed to spend money in that area because we have these roads, these other things for the masses. But we now have all the data, how we can make it very difficult for the criminals to operate, especially in the towns. And one method will be the CCTV cameras in all the major towns. And the other things which I don't want to talk about here, because there could be some people who are linked to Al-Shabaab. There are other methods. So we shall therefore, one of them we have already done, I thank you. This is the computerized identity card. That is also part of the anti-crime infrastructure with the fingerprints there in the computer. That's part of it, but it's not all. If we add the cameras and some other things which I don't want to talk about here, it will be very easy to track these criminals and expedite, not to depend on the old methods. Who saw him? Then you start. It's very, actually the police are good in a way, although sometimes I blame them because they don't interrogate sufficiently. Like the murders which were taking place in Namayingo. When I went there, I was able to find out quickly what was happening. But I was using the old methods. Where were you standing? I was standing here. How did you, it was night, how did you see his face? All that. It really consumes a lot of man hours. But if you have got technical means, like these cameras, much quicker, much quicker. So that's what we are going to work on, so that we expedite the process. Such infrastructure would make the work of the police in detecting and apprehending criminals much easier. We are in the process of solving that problem. Otherwise, Uganda is one of the most peaceful countries anywhere on the globe. Managing successfully the huge numbers of people at Namgongo yesterday, you don't know how many hours I spend in the night when you people you are Nino. When you are sleeping, you don't know how many hours I spend awake following up. Because yesterday at Namgongo we had like 1 million people there. Yes. Now these people, to make sure that nobody comes in the midst of them with a bomb and then blows himself up and blows other people, is not as simple as people who are sitting in air-conditioned rooms. Think it's really something. So that's why we should assist the police with modern modern equipment, so that things are much easier. handling that successfully, those events of Namgongo successfully, without any problem, proves the point if any proving is necessary. The other cost pusher for products is the cost of capital, borrowed money. We privatized our government bank, Uganda Commercial Bank, in order to bring down these interest rates. The interest rates are still high at 20.1% per annum. So the parliamentary committees, if the parliamentary committees were not full of themselves, swinging in those, they would ask my civil servants why we privatized UCB, because that was the main argument. The main argument was that when we privatize UCB, we shall have more efficient management. The loans will be, because the argument was the interest rates are high because loans are given carelessly and they are not paid back, they default, and therefore we who pay our loans pay for the ones who don't pay. That's how we end up paying high interest rates. That was the argument. So even me, I'm curious to know why UCB has not done this. And if the parliamentary committee could ask that, I'm also going to ask them. I have already asked them, but I'm waiting for the answer. Why these efficient new managers have not brought down the interest rates? Because that was the argument. Now, if you compare with other countries, I want to compare the interest rates in South Africa. They have not yet got them for me. In USA, they have not got them for me. But they have got the ones of South Korea, 3.4%. Here, we are talking of 20%. So there is a problem here. Now that the route of privatizing UCB did not solve this problem, we are going to take another route, the route of capitalizing Uganda Development Bank. Some people came to me that we should privatize UDB. I said, thank you very much. Because I have already privatized and I have got no reward. So privatization ends here. UDB will not be privatized. Instead, we are going to capitalize it. So that we have got a government-controlled instrument of dealing with these problems of borrowing for development. We have already put some money in the UDB, but we shall put more money after the coming elections. In the following financial years, we plan to invest additional 500 billion so that the bank can lend to manufacturing, business, and agriculture at lower interest rates if one assumed inflation to be 5% per annum. Emphasizing these 5 areas, the roads, electricity, the railway, defense and security, and the cost of capital does not mean that we forget other areas. Scientific innovation is a standalone element of capacity building. In the area of ICT, for instance, when I visited China some years ago, I agreed with the Huawei company to build the ICT backbone. I linked them to the concerned authorities inside Uganda. As we speak today, the following towns have already been linked by ICT backbone: Kampala, Entebbe, Bombo, Nakasongora, Gulu, Masindi, Nimule, Lira, Soroti, Kumi, Mbare, Tororo, Busia, Jinja, Mukono, Mbarara, Bushenyi, Fort Portal, and Hoima. The other towns such as Masaka, Mutukura, Kabare, and Katuna will be linked in the financial years 2015-2016, which is the one coming. With our neighbors in Kenya and Tanzania doing the same, and the extending of the undersea cable to Dar es Salaam from Cape Town and Mombasa from Eden, it means that the cost of making telephones will go down. I will put the figures here. These people have not got them for me yet. We shall shift from using satellite-linked telephones to the ICT backbone and undersea cable linked telephones that are much cheaper. This brings the cost-reduced elements to, namely, the roads, electricity, the railway, defense and security to ensure peace, the cost of capital, and the cost of ICT transmission. As pointed out above, supporting scientific innovation is not necessarily a cost reducer, but it is an element of capacity building, so as to take advantage of our educated people, the result of the human resource development, to build the industrial and research base of our country. They have the capacity to modernize our economy by themselves. These scientists, if we support them, there's nothing they cannot do. That is why I recently created a new Department of Science and Technology in the Ministry of Education and Sports. They should coordinate all that effort of giving support to our scientific innovators who have hitherto been handled by the Ministry of Finance, which understandably has got a lot of work. There's nothing they cannot do if they are supported. They have the knowledge, they lack the money. The Soviet Union had used this approach between 1917 and 1950 when the Korean War broke out. In that short period of 33 years, by supporting their scientists, the oppressive atmosphere of Stalin notwithstanding, the Soviet Union was able to transition from a pre-industrial feudal country to a modern industrial one that was almost solely responsible for the defeat of fascist Germany, relying on its just acquired industrial and technological capacity thanks to its scientists. Up to today, the names of those scientists are engraved in the designations of the products they pioneered. When you hear designations like the MiG series of jet planes stand for the names of their designers, Mikoyan, Gurevich. That's why you hear this MiG. Those are names of scientists. One scientist was called Mikoyan, another was called Gurevich. They are the ones who designed that plane which is world famous. Sukhoi, that is the name of Pavel Sukhoi. Ilyushin, that is the name of Sergei Ilyushin. Tupolev, that is the name of Andrei Nikolaevich Tupolev. These are people, scientists. Those planes are named after people. Who found them? Who designed them first? Kalashnikov, this gun, AK-47. Kalashnikov is for Mikhail Kalashnikov, the designer of the famous rifle in the year 1949. So these scientists, we are lucky to have this capacity. And I really want to appeal to you people, honorables. When you are handling my scientists, Please be a bit humble also. Don't sit there imputing improper motives as if they are this. It's not correct. These are very serious people. They are very treasured people. I treasure them myself. If any of these scientists calls me at night, I will wake up and go and talk to him. Because I know the value which is in them. If you don't know, then we shall have to have a little quarrel. With infrastructure we are building, with the peace we have achieved, and with our scientists, we are on a steady march to modernization. At this pace, Uganda will become a middle-income country in the next few years. Lower middle income. By 2040, Uganda will be an upper middle-income country. We're estimating that, for me, I was expecting that by 2017 we would be in the lower middle-income category, but I will check the figures. To help us along, fortunately, we have attracted recently very useful investors after long and arduous struggle. Some time ago, we had achieved a breakthrough when we attracted a capable milk processor, Samir Company, to help us cope with our huge potential in that sector of milk. Samir, by leasing the underutilized government literal facilities of 15,000 liters per day, has been able in the last 11 years to push that production to 150,000 liters per day. In other words, 10 times. The artificial glut of milk that had been created has now been converted into more demand for milk from the increasing numbers of factories. Apart from the factories that merely pasteurize the milk, preserve it, and separate the traditional products of ghee, butter, yogurt, fresh milk, cheese, we now have factories such as Amos Dairies that crack the whole milk and get separate proteins such as casein or something like that. This is a protein which they get from milk, which is used in human medicine and exported to the USA. Milk production has jumped from 200 million liters per annum in 1986 to almost 2 billion liters today. We should push this to 20 billion liters per annum by ensuring through Operation Wealth Creation that each of the 6 million Ugandan rural families has eventually, slowly by slowly, 6 high-yield milk cows able to give 20 liters per day. If only 2 are milking at a time, that will mean 87 billion liters per annum, which Uganda will produce. The global demand of milk is 625 million metric tons per annum. It should be put in liters, you people, so that we can compare. The cattle population would go to 36 million compared to our present population of 13 million, itself being a big advance from the 3 million cattle of 1986. 1986, we had only 3 million cows. We now have 13 million, but I am targeting 36 million, where every homestead has got at least 6 cows in the shed. The rural households, not the urban ones. This commercialization of the ancient domestic product of milk in 1989 gave opportunity to my late father, Mzee Amos Kaguta, at that time 73 years of age, to fully join the money economy and therefore graduate from subsistence, traditional farming, to commercial farming. By that fact, and by the volumes of the money his colleagues and himself were earning on a daily basis, they had metamorphosed into the middle class. Our people must graduate from traditional to middle class through commercial agriculture. Their huge but underutilized wealth in terms of land and cattle had at last joined the modern age of wealth through money. Some Ugandan families had joined commercial coffee growing in the colonial era, different from the traditional coffee chewing. Indeed, Uganda has been producing 4 million bags of 60 kilogram per annum for a long time. Out of this, Uganda earns US dollars 400 million per year. The NRM is now, however, upscaling the industry of coffee to new heights. First, we want all the old 220 million coffee trees to be replaced by the new ones that produce 4 times more coffee than the old ones. By simply doing this, coffee production in Uganda will go from the present 4 million bags per annum to 20 million bags, overtaking all the other coffee-producing countries except for Brazil. At present prices, that will bring US dollars 2 billion instead of the present 400 million. However, it's not just the replanting that we are doing. New areas that never grew coffee before, such as the North, are now joining in growing coffee. The yields will therefore exceed my target of 20 million bags. There is something much more we are doing for coffee. After endless trials and disappointments of trying to help your country break out of the modern slavery of producing raw materials, where the coffee growing country earns less than $1 per kilogram, but the countries processing coffee earn $10 per kilogram, 10 times more than we, the coffee growers. That has been the same for cotton, for minerals, etc. This is where the underdevelopment has been. We export money 10 times more than we get. We export jobs, we export taxes, and of course we export the nutrients of our soils, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, etc., and do so for peanuts. When you export coffee, that coffee has sucked nitrogen from the soil, has sucked phosphorus from the soil, has sucked potassium from the soil, and you export it outside. That's bad enough. But when you get very little in return, year after year, that's where there is a bigger problem. This has been the basis of colonialism and neocolonialism. This is a situation we had to get out of. I was even beginning to think of bringing back the parastatals to do the job of value addition. Fortunately, however, we are beginning to get big successes. In coffee, we have at last got a serious investor, Vinci, who will add value here to 60,000 tons of our coffee. That 60,000 tons will bring in US dollars 600 million per annum. This company, which is going to process the coffee, and the product just go to the supermarket, will use only 1/3 of the coffee we are producing now. 60,000 tons. But the money we shall get out of the value-added coffee will be 600 million more than the whole coffee. So if we succeed in adding value to all the coffee, we shall be earning from coffee. Our current production level of coffee would be earning something like $1.8 billion instead of 400 million, and creating jobs, earning more money. As if by coincidence, we also got a serious investor for adding value to cotton, the Fine Spinners Company. That company will process 10,000 bales of cotton into finished garments and will bring in US dollars 23 million per annum. We have also got a big meat processor up in Bombo, the first modern meat packers after the collapse of the meat packers of Soroti, in Soroti. In this way, commodity by commodity, we shall end the slavery of exporting raw materials. There are now 28 tea factories in Uganda, processing 60 million kilograms of tea per annum, up from the 23 million kilograms of 1971 and the 3 million kilograms of 1986. Kirembe Mines is being repaired to add value to the old blister copper, which is 94% pure, not to produce the old blister copper, which is 94% pure, but produce the cathodes that are 99% pure and can be used straight into making electric cables and other applications. You can imagine we are producing copper at Kirembe in the past, but they would process it to 94% purity. They call that blister copper. Now, at that level, you cannot use it to make cables for electricity. And we have got a cables company at Rugazi. But they can't use the copper, they couldn't use the copper from Kirembe because it was not pure enough. So the copper from Kirembe would be exported, purified more outside, then brought back to be used in the cables industry. This is the sort of slavery I cannot accept. So now, the copper will go straight from Kirembe to Rugazi to make the cables, which then we use. This is the struggle for economic emancipation. We are sourcing for people to build a steel industry using the Kanungu Kabale iron ore and the gas from Mwitanzige, Lake Albert. Lake Albert, the traditional name of Lake Albert is Mwita Nzige. The Wanyono call it Mwita Nzige. With the building of these dams and the rail, we need steel. So we must develop the Kanungu Kabale iron ore into steel. And we are struggling to get investors. But I got pressure from some people that I should authorize the export of unprocessed iron ore. Then I said, how much will I get per ton? They said you will get $37 per ton. And that iron ore is 70% pure. So it is almost 100%. Now a ton of steel is now at $700. So here I was being pressurized that I should authorize our iron ore, which we call obtare. You know, English is inefficient. It's not like our languages. Our languages are more efficient. Obtare, that's iron ore. So I was being pressurized that I should allow the export of iron ore at $37 instead of looking for a processor who will turn that ton to $700. And I said, sorry, please, I will not allow this. So they went around, lobbied people, went and said, okay, I am here, I will not allow it. Then I was being told, but you see, if they make money, first export, then they will get money, and then they will build the steel processing. Why should I welcome poor investors? If they don't have the money, let them not come. When I went to Turkey, I asked them, I said, what do you call a rich person in Turkish? They said, Jengin. And I said, what do you call poor? They said, fakir. So I told the president of Turkey that I did not want fakir Turkish in Uganda. Because I already had enough poor people here. I didn't have to import additional ones. We commissioned the start of construction of the fertilizer, steel, and sulfuric acid plants at the Sukuru Hills near Tororo. I hope those people will start, because that's a big project. We are handling the requests of those that are interested in the Moroto cement, using 300 million metric tons of ore, much bigger than the 23 million tons of Hima. The phosphates in, I don't know what they call it, the lime in Karamoja is much more than the lime in Hima. The lime in Karamoja is 300 million tons. The one of Hima is 23 million tons. So that's a very big potential. And very soon we shall, I think we are about to succeed to get somebody to build a cement factory there. The north of Uganda is going to be the industrial heart of Uganda. At the beginning of my speech, I enumerated the numerous power projects that are either being planned or are already being implemented. These are Karuma, Ayago, Kiba, Uhuru, Oriang, Maxwell Falls, Agago Falls, etc. All these are either in the north or on the boundary between Bunyoro and the north. Grain milling factories have come up in Noya, as has large-scale farming. If you drive on the road to Arua now, through that part of Langwa Chori, you will no longer see just that grass only. No, no, no. Factories are coming up, silos. It is changing. Large-scale farming. Sugar factory, although delayed, is coming up in Amuru. The sugar factory in Amuru has been delayed by people who, some of whom are sitting in this August house. The abuse of power, I think we need to streamline our regulations. If you don't behave like a leader, there must be a way of how to make you an unleader. Because you can't sit here and you abuse your position and you don't miss any allowance of parliament, and you are blocking development projects, and you are there just with impunity. I think, right, but that is not the problem. It is ours. The NRM caucus, supported by some few friendly and reasonable people. From this side, we should make the necessary amendments to really punish this type of leaders. How, I don't have monopoly of brain, we should all think about it. There are ways you can punish them. Remove him from parliament. How? Let's discuss it. How is not a problem. People's mandate, you can't abuse your... So this project has delayed, but finally the people had to rebel against this group in Amuru. Another one, another sugar factory, without any controversy, is coming up in Atiak. There's a big factory coming up there. That one has no problem. The people of Atiak are very, very mature people. They are welcoming this very big project there. I don't know who is the MP in Atiak? Huh? It is the same Olanya. No, of course, this is not Jacob. This is Olanya. No, but the people of Atiak are very, very, very. They are very, very cooperative. You have seen clusters of factories in Mukono, in Ruwero, Kapeka, Semuto, Sanga. All these are mainly factories based on agro-processing. I've referred to Kirembe, Kanungu, Sukuru, and Karamoja above in respect of copper cathodes, steel and fertilizers, and cement respectively. That is not all the minerals. There is gold. At some point we shall need a gold refinery, so to have got gold ready to be turned into the jewelry industry. Why should we export and process gold and then our daughters have got to buy back the jewelry at many times the value we got for our gold? There is coltan, wolfram, tin, aluminium clays, etc., etc. These clusters of industries growing around our natural products, agricultural and mineral, are the medicine to unemployment, to low forex earnings, and high import bill to a narrow tax base. All these are on the assumption of low cost of electricity that is reliable, low cost of transport, and low cost of capital. Of course, we also need entrepreneurs if we are to avoid the root of the parastatals. Therefore, developing a consensus for prioritizing infrastructure has been crucial for our future or contemporary prosperity. I want to salute the NRM caucus and all the other reasonable members of parliament and the opposition-friendly forces who helped us on generating this consensus on the prioritization of expenditure on infrastructure, which is beginning to make a big impact in the economy. All I have said above does not include petroleum and gas. Our petroleum plan is to build a 60,000 barrels per day refinery, expandable to 120,000 barrels per day. Apart from getting our own petroleum, diesel, and kerosene for aviation fuel, the residuals will feed the petrochemical industries so as to produce plastics, fertilizers, and pharmaceuticals. Some of the oil will be exported through the pipeline. If we are to sell 120 barrels per day, according to a price of $60 per barrel, where the price of petroleum has now gone down, that will give Uganda an additional income of $3 billion per annum. This money will be dedicated to infrastructure, science innovation, and some of the high-level science educational institutions. It is a considerable amount of money. We have been doing so much with so little. What will happen now that we are getting quite a bit of additional money? This time I will not talk so much on the story of the commercialization of agriculture. I have in the past talked a lot on that. A lot of products can be made from wood, given our soft and hard wood. Apart from timber, there are many traditional products made out of wood that should be made and promoted. I have been attending these exhibitions, and you find wood products by our young people which should be supported. I have told my staff to record all of them, and when the money becomes available, we shall support them. You find that they make wooden plates, Antarctica, milk pots, wooden spoons, combs, flour mingling clubs, etc., etc. All these can be made, and they last long. And I would appeal to you to support them by buying those products. All these are very long-lasting. The youth who are making them should be encouraged. I'm confident to promote all these products, all these production efforts, because I'm sure there's a sure market, national, regional, and international. The regional market, we have got through negotiating with our neighbors. Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi, Sudan, and Congo. The international markets, we have got through negotiations with our external partners, AGOA, European Union, Japan, India, they all can take our products at no tax and without limitation to the amounts. So when I'm promoting this production, I'm not worried that we shall produce and there will be nobody to buy. Because I know that the demand for many of these products is big. I have checked it out. The demand for coffee is going up. The demand for textiles is going up. The demand for milk products is going up. The demand for fish is going up. So all these things I'm pushing them knowing that however much we produce, we shall not be short of market. Some of the products like tea, you need to be a bit careful because the price of tea has now gone down because of the chaos in the Arab world. And we need to know the total global demand of tea, even in ordinary times, when there is no upheavals as there is in the Arab world today. On the side of politics, there is no problem because everything is provided for in the Constitution. So I'm not going to speak politics, no. I just concentrate on economy. Let the leaders show the way. What you need to do, the Right Honorable touched on it when she was beginning her introduction. There are two words in Acholi. There is lutera, to lead. I think the other word is yeyo, to carry. Yeyo. Now, this is where the problem is. Instead of being lutera, to lead, you try to be to yeyo, to carry the population on your head. Now, this is the problem the Right Honorable Speaker was talking about, that you are trying to carry people in a constituency. Why do you carry them? They should carry you rather than you carrying them. Now you hear my sister, the Honorable Sisi Ogwal. She's saying that I'm the one who is bringing bad culture. By giving envelopes. But I am president, you are not president. How can you continue?
Order, please.
Those envelopes, I really find it difficult. This president, he lives in Kampala. He comes once in a rural area. And you have these Bora dancers, these people, they have not, they will not see president again for another 5 years. So, according to the culture of these tribes, this Madwong person, big person. Is it Madwong or what? No. Madid. Madwong is many. Really to go back without, it's called Okorongora in Runyankore. Okorongora. But this is president. You are not president. Why do you want? Why don't you tell them that, please, I can't manage to. You're also president in your small areas. So we shall have to sit down, but then there must be a limit. There must be a limit. Yes, okay, we shall discuss it. We shall discuss it. The articles. So the best way to our democracy is growing. We can discuss more how to handle those pressures on the leaders. But my experience in Ixos, the other day I told the presidential committee, the parliamentary committee on presidency, to visit Ixozi, my area there, where I had a contract with the local people. There are 1,700 homes around me, and I agreed with them that I will no longer allow it to be stopped on the way, because they would stop me all the time. So we agreed that I will not stop anymore, but that we should support them, each family, to do something. And I experimented with it. So I wanted these parliamentary people to go there and see what's happening there. And indeed, these days I don't stop. When they stop me, I just wave at them and continue. Because I told them before that I will not stop, because this is not a good way of working. You cannot manage one person. It should be handled as groups, as categories. And I even told the bodyguards, don't send away my people. Let them stand on the road. When I come, I will simply wave to them. Because I've already told them. I've already told them in a meeting. They can't resent it because they know, because we talked about it. I called them in a meeting. I said, this is the way to go. This way is not sustainable. It's not correct. It's not efficient. You cannot go on just individual. There must be a common formula. Many listen, but some insist, but I don't stop. I wave to them, and eventually they stop waylaying me on the way. So yes, these are the challenge of a young democracy. Let's sit down and see how we manage those popular pressures, but without straining yourselves and going from your role of leadership, Lutera, to Yeyo, when you cannot manage. You will just break your neck. How can you Yeyo? Like Honorable Janice's constituency, Rohama, is like 300,000 people. How will you Yeyo those people? So it's not correct. With these few words, it is my pleasure to declare this session open. I thank you very much.